How many times have you heard these phrases?
Change is the only constant.
Is it too late to change?
If only I could, I'd really want to change this.
In this channel, you don't have to wonder. We are going to interview people who really make a difference to this world.
Let their stories inspire and empower you to create the change you want to see.
Who knows, you could be the next change maker.
Welcome to the Change Makers.
Hi, I'm Sakala,
And I'm Leo.
and welcome to the
Change Makers.
Today's guest is someone who I consider a friend, though he's many years younger than me. He's a designer, an entrepreneur, an activist, and he's also a consultant. But I don't want to say too much about him. Let him introduce himself. And I bring to you, ladies and gentlemen, Roni Helou. Hi, Roni.
Hi, Sakala. Hi, Leo.
Hi,
Thanks for
welcome to
having
the
me.
show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Welcome to the show. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and the viewers?
Sure. So, I'm a fashion designer. That's first thing. I've had my brand for 6 years. Actually, it was our 6 years anniversary on the 5th, so 2 days ago. I started as a fashion designer, and then I went to teaching. I was teaching at university, fashion design development. And then from that, I won Fashion Trust Arabia in 2019. It was the very first year, the Ready to Wear Prize. And then I started after that consulting for like young startup brands. Then I moved to Doha, and now I'm a consultant at Qatar museums as well. And I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm interested in tech. I'm trying to delve into that a bit.
Wow.
Like the fashion tech, fintech, different kind of things. So, and obviously, Sakala, you know that very well. I'm an animal rights activist. I rescue animals, but also I'm a human rights activist and environmentalist. But I have a special place in my heart for animals.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know that.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you won the Fashion Trust Arabia in 2019. Tell us, how did it come about?
It was funny because back then I had my brand for 2 years. And then, so when I first launched my brand, I launched it literally upon graduation. And things picked up very well because it was like the perfect time, the perfect space back in Beirut, because like Ready to Wear was starting to boom. And then I got scouted by like a platform that launches brands. So I launched my brand with them, and things picked up very well because I provided something like an aesthetic that didn't exist in Lebanon. And so for the coming year after it, I was doing very well, honestly. Like the brand was doing very well financially. People were really interested in it. I won my very first prize before even the brand turned one. It was the Vaucien Foundation. It's Lebanese, Armenian, Belgium
That's nice.
competition. And then the year after, I was nominated to represent the region in the International Fashion Showcase in London.
Wow.
That was amazing. That was, for me, it was like mind-opening because it was the first time I actually meet designers from the same caliber as me who are not regional, not from this region. And it was amazing to see, different point of views. And honestly, I realized that we see things eye to eye, and this really helped me in the way I shaped the brand later on. So during IFS, I was a finalist, and right after IFS, I applied to Fashion Trust Arabia. Although the brands who were allowed to apply to be eligible, you needed to be at least for 3 years in business. For some reason, for some miracle, they made it 2, and I was eligible.
Yeah.
And then I applied.
Yes.
And then I won. Next
that's good.
thing was I won the Ready to Wear prize.
Excellent.
I think they really saw something really nice with your work.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the fashion industry, I'm curious, how do you really make a mark in the industry? Do you really have to win awards? Or is there any other way to just enter and get recognized by the world?
Honestly, I think there's two ways.
Okay.
Either like some designers like to be, like to remain, how do you say it?
Exclusive?
Not exclusive, but in the shadow.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just run their business. They do very well. They have
Yes,
clients.
yes,
They're
yes,
doing
yes.
huge figures,
Okay,
but they don't want the attention.
Yeah,
They want to
yeah,
keep
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
exclusive, private, low key.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Other designers, and I'm one of these designers, because for me, like I have something to say. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very vocal about my values. I tell everybody that my brand is not just another clothing brand.
Yeah.
I use clothing, I use fashion as a medium or as a platform for me to send out messages to people. So that's why I can't be low key. It needs to be. Although I am considered, like when you compare me and my brand to other people, I kind of am low key.
Yeah.
But like there's still like I need to be vocal. I need to be present, and obviously I need to expand my market and get more exposure. How you do it? Not the easiest way, but obviously when you're a good brand with people supporting you, it's competition.
Yeah,
That's how you do it.
Yeah, this is
Oh, wow.
interesting conversation
Very
we're having
interesting
here.
conversation.
But before we move on, you
Yes.
have any question, or
No,
let's take a break?
I'm going to ask the next
Yeah.
question, but right after this break.
Yes.
Welcome to the Change Makers.
So, welcome back to the show, and I have a question because this is very close to my heart as well. So, you're into upcycling and recycling and sustainable fashion, and I know it's the need of the hour. I mean, how do you see yourself developing that further? And I know you're probably one of the first brands in the Middle East.
Yeah, so when I first started my brand, we were one of the very first brand to take this approach, the sustainable approach, and to be very vocal about it. Like I think we can consider the brand as one of the pioneering in the industry in fashion in the region. So when I first started, it was very natural because even before I went into fashion school, I've been rescuing animals. I've been involved in like the way it started. Like let me tell you a funny story. I always used to love animals, but my parents were completely against us having pets, like growing up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then one day, I think it was around 2011. Unfortunately, one of our neighbors is this very lunatic guy who just very violent. There was like one stray dog in our neighborhood, and he wanted to shoot him. And I went
Crazy.
above and beyond to find somebody to help him, and I bumped into this rescue group, and then they helped me remove the dog. And out of courtesy, I told them, if you ever need anything, just let me know. Literally the second day, I get a call from them asking me to be involved in another rescue. And one thing led to another. And then suddenly I became one of the main members in the rescuing community in Lebanon. Fundraising, although I was like a very shy person, suddenly I was asking people for money, fundraising, getting appointments with doctors, with vets. Like my personality changed completely, and I became more involved in NGOs that handle animal welfare.
Wow.
And then obviously once you're into the NGO world, it like you cover everything.
Yeah.
So from animal welfare to like domestic workers' rights to women's rights to I became more
Wow.
involved in
Expanded in
different
different
ones,
areas,
yeah.
and
Wow.
also like things that really related to the environment. I would go to protests and stuff, and that was pre-fashion school.
Yeah.
So when I started fashion school and when I got into this industry, at some point, I had like this identity crisis. I felt that what I'm doing does not really represent me. It was too
because
naive.
It's the second largest polluter in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And but also like everything, especially in Beirut, like I think up until 2017, 2018, 19, that's when we started talking about sustainability and like even not just in fashion but in general. So before that, people didn't want to talk about negative stuffs when talking about fashion. For them, it's just red carpets and movie stars and whatever. So I felt that I was like two different people, and it didn't really sit well with me. So when I launched my brand, I was very like, I wanted to create a brand that represents me, where I feel like, because this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
Yes,
If I don't find myself in it, I don't want to do it. So that's how it started. And then when doing my research, obviously, like the easiest thing for me with the small resources I had, like I started using that stock and vintage fabrics because already I used to love that's all I wear. I get my grandpa's open my grandpa's closet and take his old pieces. I'm very, this is me, so I started with that, just going to these small boutiques that date back to the Civil War, and finding these very 30-year-old, 40-year-old scraps of fabrics, and I was using them. Also that stock. And unfortunately, being in Lebanon, this was it was very hard to import sustainable fabrics from abroad, but also because I was a small brand with very limited resources. And then after that, obviously, I won Fashion Trust Arabia, and then the grant money, I was supposed to use it to do more research when it comes to sustainability, how to make the brand more sustainable. Let's import fabrics from abroad, organic, sustainable, regenerative. And then obviously the banking crisis happened. The money was stuck in the bank, unfortunately. And then after that explosion happened, and that's when I decided to move to Qatar. Moving to Qatar, the country provided the stability the brand needed. Fortunately, now I have partners, investors on board.
That's good.
Being based here, this really gave them incentives to take part in that. And now our plan is to actually transition from vintage and dead stock, because the issue with vintage and dead stock fabrics is they're limited quantities.
Correct.
So when you work with international retailers, they want more, which is it's very hard to scale the business up when you're working with that. So now the plan is to transfer from vintage and dead stock to transition from the dead stock and vintage to sustainable, regenerative, these type of fabrics that you were hearing now, like mushroom leather, fungi leather, bamboo fast silk, all these type of fabrics.
There's hemp and there's...
exactly. So that's the plan for the future, is to focus on these type of fabrics.
Oh, fantastic. So you have... You want to stay true to yourself.
Definitely.
At the same time build a brand that nobody else has, and you have people who think the same way as you right now.
Exactly.
Who come in as investors.
Exactly.
Amazing.
You came to Qatar just right after the pandemic, I suppose, right? 2021. Just
Yes, 2021.
The early post-pandemic. How did that affect you? Because it's quite scary. We just came from a horror 1.5 year, 2 years of pandemic, and then you moved to Qatar. What prompted you to do so, and what changes did you do to your business model?
So the way it started is I never thought of leaving Lebanon, honestly. I was always I was very attached to my friends, the community I've built around the brand. I never wanted to leave that. But unfortunately, when I lost my atelier and my house to the explosion, I had to revisit,
Maybe it was meant to be.
Yes, exactly. That's when I reached out to Sheikh Al Mayasa, whom I met, Sheikh Al Mayasa bint Hamad Al Khalifa Thani, Her Excellency, who I've met through Fashion Trust Arabia. And I'm like, I know that you're trying to build something in Qatar. You want people, you have this amazing platform, a hub called M7. You're trying to build a creative community. I'm more than happy to move to Qatar and to be involved in that and share whatever experience I have with the community. But please help me expand my business to Qatar. And this is what happened.
Amazing.
That's nice.
Amazing.
Nice story.
But
Inspiring.
you have to understand, he's also very talented.
Yes, exactly.
That's the thing. So we'll be back after the short break. Thank you for tuning in.
Welcome to the Change Makers.
Thank you for tuning in, and welcome back, Roni. And I'm in conversation with, me and Leo are in conversation with Roni Helou. So here is a favorite topic that you and me like to discuss at length. Both you and me are into animal welfare, and I just wanted to know that you're very passionate about animal welfare. Are you doing a lot of work here, and you plan to continue to do a lot of work here?
Yes, here and everywhere. Even after leaving Lebanon, I assigned roles and tasks to my family members. Each
They're
of
all
them is
bored now?
responsible of an area to feed the strays in the area.
Yeah, oh, lovely.
My father now is handles all of my cats, and then it's funny. But even here, moving here, although I came here and I was like, I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna be as involved as I was in Beirut, because at some time doing this with the brand, it was too much to handle. But it's just in me, I couldn't. So even here, I have. So I managed to find people in different areas that I provide food for the cats and they feed them. We're covering around 5 areas around Doha. And I still rescue, obviously, even I still rescue remotely animals
I
in
know, because he's
Lebanon.
always putting it up, saying, a dog who needs a new home, or a cat needs a new home.
Yeah, and I'm always collaborating with NGOs. Like for me, this is what I love doing, is creating campaigns, like whether it's awareness, whether it's fundraisers, whether it's like food drives, to support NGOs, especially in Lebanon. Although recently I realized that even NGOs in Qatar, animal welfare related NGOs in Qatar, really need help because there isn't enough support. But for now, like I don't have the connections, enough connections to actually get to them and help them. But I still do that with NGOs in Lebanon because unfortunately with the financial crisis, the situation is terrible.
So if someone is listening to this or wants to get in touch with you, how do they do that? For everything?
Yeah, I mean, for things related to the brand, reach me on Instagram, Roni Helou, RoniHelou. Send me a DM. Just give me a day or two to answer because I'm not a social media person.
But he's pretty prompt. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, or just shoot me an email on info@ronihelou.com. And for personal matters, my Instagram handle is Runi, REW_NEUI, I guess.
All right.
Anything animal related, just DM me there.
Okay. Hey.
Before I go to the next question, I have a really interesting question. How do you marry these two things that you're doing right now? You're into fashion and you're into animal welfare as well. Is there a point where these two just come together, or is just separate things in your head and you're just trying to balance
No, it's
it?
not separate. So the brand is actually I wouldn't call it vegan just because we do use wool. At least for now, we stopped until we find organic wool. But we used to use a vintage wool. But obviously, I can't call it vegan because we use wool. But also, as I said, like the brand, like it's officially the brand that collaborates. For example, this shelter in Lebanon called Give Me a Paw. I created a collaboration, and then with the dodo, the dodo on Instagram, and we managed to raise, for example, $5,000. That was I think last year.
Oh, wow.
There's another, for example, brand that donates all of its proceeds to rescuers in Lebanon. I'm also collaborate with them a lot. We collaborate on a small collection, and it sold out. It was a pro bono project for us. So this is what I try to do. I try to help with whatever exposure I have, and with the platform that I have, I try to share it with them, and then raise money and
create awareness for them also.
And awareness is the most important thing, honestly.
And I believe most of the brands right now should do this.
Yeah.
If you have you're fighting for some cause, or you have something else, if you're some part of your profit goes to a cause like this, people actually connects very well with you.
Yeah. Right? Otherwise, what's the point of having a platform?
Exactly.
Yeah. You should use it for a good reason. And I know a lot of people just write checks, but do people give time?
Do people give time? Not a lot of people. I'm the kind of person that obviously, like, I try to help financially as much as possible, but I'm spreading myself thin.
You're hands-on.
But I really put a lot of my personal time and energy, and it eats me up, but I'm more than happy to do it.
Okay, excellent.
It fulfills.
Exactly. It's the feeling of fulfillment and the pleasure that you get. Once you know that. Like, for example, when I find adopters to a certain animal, it's this feeling that you get where, like, mission accomplished. Now he's gonna live happily. This scenario that you start creating, like it gives you like a feeling of pleasure.
Exactly.
It's a win-win, I think, because the family who's willing to adopt is also happy to find one. By the way, we just adopted one cat. The owner is gonna be flying to Canada very soon, so we took the cat.
That's nice.
Excellent.
Good. If you know any other, would love to take one more.
I'll find you one in half an hour.
Tonight itself.
Messages.
We will take a short break, and we'll be back after these messages.
Welcome to the Change Makers. So we're having a really, really wonderful conversation with Roni, consultant and big name in the fashion industry, especially here in Qatar. And he's also into animal welfare. And the questions are just, getting better and better. But I'd like to know from him where you want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. Do you see yourself still in Qatar, or
Global brand.
globally, even more spread out your brand elsewhere?
It's a tricky question for me
Yeah.
because I do many things that are completely different. So something I really believe in is being part of this generation of people that will build the creative community, this community in Qatar. This is something I really want to do, and obviously that's why I'm here, because I I find pleasure in this, like building something from scratch, and I want to be part of it. I want the history to mention that there was this designer
Yeah.
back 50 years ago that really helped do this. So this is something I truly believe in doing, and I really want to be here. But at the same time, I see my brand as an international brand. So soon we're gonna go back to doing Paris Fashion Week, hopefully expanding more internationally. New markets. To Saudi is a big market, we want to also expand there. We already started that. So far, things are happening very well. I don't know.
Rest of Asia. Say,
I'm really interested also in Asia. Obviously, maybe in 10 years, yeah, it makes sense. I'm a very ambitious person, to be honest. I don't mind sacrificing few things in my life, for the sake of, let's say, the brand, or for the sake of a certain business, for my career technically. So yeah, I see myself going international.
so you have
honestly.
a fire in the belly regarding your work.
Yes, exactly.
And nothing can come in the way for that.
Whether it's work, everything I pursue, whether it's my activism, I'm not somebody who's I'm very open, to all the opportunities that get me. I'm somebody who believes that I can, if something, I can make advantage of any opportunity that comes to me.
Fantastic.
This is how I see things. So hopefully in 10 years, the brand would grow. My other businesses that I'm starting now also would start growing regionally. In the long term future, honestly, I see myself starting a foundation, like a Roni Helou Foundation. This is my ultimate dream.
So
Obviously,
foundation would have what?
honestly, I want to create this ecosystem that helps people and animals together, and the environment. I already have an idea in mind how I can create this, let's call it, program that helps all three together, and it's not just focused on one element, and it's very interactive between the three.
Okay.
So this is my long term, my retirement plan.
Okay, lovely. That's a nice retirement.
That's a nice retirement to have, really. Yeah, you're doing something you love,
Yeah.
out of the fruit of what you've worked for long years. It's really nice. Yeah. So we'll go to
The final question.
final question. Okay. So, please.
So obviously I am talking about sustainability again.
Yeah.
And there's fast fashion, there's slow fashion, there's conspicuous consumption. I mean, it stopped during COVID, right? I mean, people stopped buying, people stopped having the big fat weddings. And it's back with a bang.
Yeah.
The conspicuous consumption, the LV bags and the, Hermes bags and all of that. It's back with a bang. You think that it's a good trend, and do we need to kind of take a step back and breathe and do a bit of slow fashion?
Unfortunately, the past 2 years, COVID and post-COVID, it taught me something very important about the world. I used to naively believe that I can change the world, and anyone can change the world. I don't anymore, to be honest, because now I understand that they are bigger players, and unfortunately they have too much power to control the world and the mass the way they want. And this is even in fashion,
Yes.
we saw, as you mentioned, during COVID, people slowed down,
Yes.
but then COVID finished. And then people went back to their old habits because they wanted to compensate on the things they were not doing. And same thing happened, during the 1920s. That was why we had this glamorous era, the same thing is happening. So I definitely understand. I believe that at some point we're going to be able to normalize sustainability. but not necessarily the sustainability that we would want, the very slow pace, very consuming in smaller quantities. No, I think at some point, because after all, this world is money driven. At some point, it's gonna be like replacing maybe whatever is now with sustainable alternatives,
Yeah.
and then consuming them in the same level, of consumption. I feel this the ideal solution I would want? No, but I feel this is the reality of things.
Okay.
But even when creating something, like when things that are sustainable become massively produced, how can they remain sustainable? That's
Correct.
the thing.
Yes.
Agree.
So yeah, now I'm in this phase where I'm not questioning. I still believe in sustainability, but I'm trying to wonder like how feasible it is for the world to be sustainable with
No,
Right,
so,
those
day-to-day
big
life.
so I
players,
read a
yeah.
very nice line today, and it was, I mean, I'm not quoting it exactly because I'm not very good at that, but basically a man said that if you change just one person for the better,
Yeah.
you actually change an entire community.
I agree with you, and this is something I truly believe in. But like for example, like I told you, in my family we were not allowed to have pets, and even like most of my friends never had pets, were not vegan. Just me being in their life, I have more than 5-6 friends that turned vegan, and like most of my friends now have pets and adopted pets. So, and that's the impact of one person. And I truly believe that the same thing it's the same thing in sustainability. Actually, I had a what do you call it, like a discussion, heated discussion on Instagram with somebody who commented something that
Okay.
like I was there was this person who made this dress from like 100 loofahs, those plastic loofahs, and I was
Correct.
like, no, just be more considerate of your choices, like be more conscious of the material that you're using. And this person jumped in, she's like, you should go and fight these big oil companies. I'm like, yeah, but even like if one person actually
Yes.
works on himself, like
Yeah.
this is change.
That's
The-
greenwashing, right? I mean,
yeah.
you say I take a loofah and I make a dress out of it.
Yeah,
but
she's
still-
like, I can donate
still
it
there,
later
yeah.
to charity. No, it's not the same.
No,
It's
it's
gonna
not.
end up in the landfill even
Yeah.
after charity.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the thing is, I truly believe in the power of a person. Like as a person, I can make change. Like look at anything in the world. Like, let's look at veganism or any other, or not other, or cults in general, or anything. It starts with one person and spreads out, and
out, yeah.
until it reaches like it becomes something big. The only issue here with sustainability is that we don't have the privilege of time. That's my only concern. Like we can change person by person, and that's very important. But I feel like it's taking us a lot of time. It will take us a lot of time. That's why
To reverse everything.
exactly. That's why now instead of sustainability, we need to think of regenerative sustainability, how we can reverse the impact. But again, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I feel like it's such a hard job with capitalism, with these big companies in the world, just
Thinking bottom
moving
line.
things. It's very hard, but definitely as a person, I mean, first it would make you feel better, and it would make you live better, and just be more mindful of everything that surrounds you, and that's what sustainability is all about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've started this thing where I'm very proudly go into a party and I very proudly tell them that this dress is 10 years old or 5 years old because it's really good quality stuff that I bought over the years. And what's wrong in repeating it?
Exactly.
Nobody's going to have 365-day wardrobe, right?
Exactly.
Okay, with that, we're going to take a short break and we're going to be back with the rapid
Rapid fire.
fire.
Welcome to the Change Makers.
Welcome back. I'm in conversation with Roni Helou along with my colleague and co-host Leo.
I thought you forgot my name.
No, I was just going to say Roni Helou, Leo. I mean,
Yes.
it's confusing. Over to you, Leo.
Yeah, Ronnie. So we come into the rapid fire question. These are questions that we usually ask, and then you give
Quick
us
answers.
quick answers.
Quick and short.
Quick and short. Well, we can, depending on how you want to approach
yeah.
it, you can explain afterwards. Okay, if you are not in the fashion industry, or if you're not an animal welfare advocate, what would you be?
I think my answer, if you would ask me this a few years or like a year back,
Okay.
like my interests in general are becoming wider and wider, and now I'm obsessed with everything related to the universe and with archaeology, with history.
Oh, wow.
So I would say an archaeologist or like
That's nice.
not an astronomer, but like somebody who studies cosmos.
Okay.
I'm fascinated with that. This is like
Okay.
literally my Instagram and my TikTok are all about that.
You're following all
nowadays.
these channels.
Yeah.
My mom studied archaeology.
Oh,
So our holidays used to be going to various archaeological sites in India, and she'd tell us
love
it's
that.
just
I love
fabulous,
archaeology.
really fabulous.
but especially like like the very old, like not 500 years ago. This is nice, but like it's the old civilizations. That's what I'm always like trying to imagine. I'm
Yeah,
fascinated
how
with.
fabulous they are. Yeah. So if what would be around again? What would your next project be about?
My next project, for the brand or in general.
General, or brand as well.
Honestly, like now I'm delving into tech, and I have this like very ambitious project that I'm trying to work on.
Can you tell us?
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, not
I don't
yet.
want to jinx it.
But yeah, it's something into tech that's really
Yeah.
big, and I hope I manage to like get more people on board because it's something really big, and I'm very excited about it.
Good. When this comes up, we'll be interviewing you again.
Again, yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, for your next question, what would you want to teach the world? If there's one thing that you want to teach the world, what would it be?
One thing. Okay, two things. I can't do one thing.
Go ahead.
First, I want the world to be more humble,
Oh,
and then I want the world to be more compassionate.
Wow.
These two things. I feel like we lack a lot of
empathy.
empathy. Yeah,
Empathy.
that's the
Yes,
word.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
We lack a lot of empathy,
Yeah.
and because once you learn how to put yourself in other people or other beings' shoes. That's when we start really becoming mindful, and we start thinking in a more sustainable way.
You know, my mom, I have to say this, but my mom is one of the most empathetic people I've ever met in my life. And she said to me, she said, everyone's on this earth for a finite number of years.
Yeah.
And you can make a difference for the better. And I never understood it for years and years and years. And now I'm getting what she's saying.
She's right.
Interesting.
Too
So,
preachy, but yeah.
compassion,
Yeah.
humility, empathy. That's
Empathy,
a nice,
absolutely.
nice answer. Yeah.
Roni, Helou, how would you like to be remembered?
How do I like to be remembered? Honestly, I thought about this a lot. The past year when I first moved to Qatar, like it was the first 6 months were a bit tough, transitioning and all that, and I had a lot of time to actually reflect on things, and I realized, honestly, that I don't care if people remember me.
Oh.
I don't care, because technically, I'm on this earth. I want to do my best and make the world the best version I can make it, and then leave the earth and have other people do their job. Because technically, I just think that I love history in general, but we don't have to remember a person. You know, like we're just on this. This is a journey. We're here,
Yeah.
then we leave it, and then it's other people that are living. Khalas.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's how I see it. I mean, obviously, I want to make change and leave change in the world, but I don't care if people remember that it was Roni Helou who did this. I don't care about my name. I want to see the world changing, and that's it.
Yes, yes.
How old are you again?
30.
Yeah, and I think this is. I just want to add to that. This is how people who has something to leave behind really think about themselves. You know, they don't really care about what they do or what would be their legacy, but because of the things that they did, you know, it's an autopilot.
Yeah.
You know, people see it, people get impacted by it, and then people talk about it for
Exactly.
years and years to come. So I think being remembered is not really the job of the person
Yeah.
who
Exactly,
wants to be remembered.
exactly.
It's
I just want to
yeah.
inspire, you know, after I leave this earth, I want
Yeah.
people to be inspired by what I have achieved,
Exactly.
not by me, but
Yes,
what
yes,
my
yes.
accomplishments were.
Or you can teach somebody something and then they can continue doing good
Exactly.
work.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, great. So how do you relax? Let's talk about the downtime.
How do I relax? Honestly, I'm a very chill person,
Okay.
and then I have these moments of extreme stress. So what I'm good at is just turning a blind eye on something, you know, just forgetting about it
Forgetting about everything, yeah?
for a day, and then working, fully focusing on something, and then the next day I focus on another thing. That's how I do it. I don't relax much, but for me, if I sometimes every like once in a month, I'm like I need to just turn off my
Disconnect.
phone,
Yeah.
disconnect, stay in bed all day, put my cats in the bed, and just literally close my door and stay there all day.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah,
a one-day
yeah.
hibernation.
So do you have do you compartmentalize your life?
I try to do that because I recently realized how important it is to have a routine, because it helps you, regulate different things in your life, your personal life, your health,
Yes.
your work, your other work, and your other work, and your other work. So yeah, now I'm trying to do that, but I like whenever I feel it becomes too systematic, like I can't, because also like I'm a creative person. I can't be put in a box. So I'm still trying to find the balance, between the two.
Okay, we come to the last question. I know you said it's difficult to change the world because of the big players out there. But if we're not, say, if they're not there, and you are actually able to change the world, how do you want to change the world?
How do I want to change the world? Yeah, I need to think of that because the first answer that came up to my mind is not a good one.
Let's say they're
Okay, we'll take a step back. We'll take a step back,
Yeah.
and then you kind of like okay.
Honestly, I want the world to go back to the way my grandparents used to live. Like in a way, not everything.
happier times.
Happier
Simpler
times,
Simpler
simpler,
times,
exactly,
yeah.
simpler times, happier times where people were nicer, where communities had, like being in a community had
real
value.
communities. Yeah.
People were not so materialistic.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that sometimes the
Yeah.
future could be in our past,
Okay.
That's
and yeah, obviously there's a lot of things, a lot of benefits that come with evolution, with the tech
Yeah.
evolution, but also I feel like as human beings, because that's what matters. It's the human beings. I feel like we need to look at our great grandparents. I think some people, maybe great grandparents, the way they lived, the way they used to live within a society, and just grasp some
Aspects of
qualities,
that.
aspects, and just live the same way.
Wow.
I wish I can do that. Again, going back to being party pooper, but it's very hard. But I wish I could do that.
Yeah, it's just connecting back to those
Simpler
to the
times.
simpler
It's just
times.
people
and all.
used to
Yeah.
appreciate life and aspects of life and everything a lot more, whether it's clothes. Like I remember my teta, my grandma used to have like one suit, like one ensemble that she would wear for every single event,
Yeah.
and she used to love it, and my mom now has it, and it's in a perfect shape. She was more than happy with that one.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
could get more, obviously, but she was more, this was enough.
Yeah.
Like even the way, like, just going back for I'm a vegan. Like the way people used to eat meat, I don't support eating meat, but let's just talk about how things were back then. Now, if I know, like my brother, for instance, like he has to eat meat every single day. Like I feel like people are taking things for granted.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
taking everything for granted. Everything is losing its value.
Yeah.
And that's why we have this issue of overconsumption.
Yeah.
I wish we can take that back,
Yeah.
we can go back to when things really had value.
Yeah.
And
Like,
people
it's called
appreciated
resetting
it.
your life.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're resetting your life. You're absolutely right. We had a really good conversation.
Yeah,
Don't you
yeah,
agree,
yeah.
Leo? Do you have any
I
more
agree,
questions
I agree.
for him?
For me, it's making me think. Actually, these things that you said is actually connecting me back to those times as well.
I'm thinking of my grandmother's
Yeah.
kitchen, actually. He's made me nostalgic.
Yes.
But we want to thank you, Roni, for being on the show. Before we
you.
go, we would just like to tell you where this is going to be available. It'll be available on YouTube at Sakala's Life. It'll be available on his channel, which is BTS. Which has got nothing to do with the boy band from Korea. And Roni, we're going to be tagging you. And what are your social media handles, all of them?
Amazing. So it's on Instagram and on TikTok, although we're not that active on TikTok. It's Roni Helou, RoniHelou. Our website is ronihelou.com. And our email address, the one you can reach us on, is info@ronihelu.com.
Thank you so much, Ronnie.
Thanks
And
for having
best
me.
of
Thank
luck
you
for
so much.
It was a
everything.
nice conversation.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Pleasure. Thank you. Welcome to the Change Makers.